Oh, Lord.
Keep on sharing.
The phones are open.
Keep on laughing.
Give us a call.
You gotta keep on caring. As long as you've got a voice, don't ever stop. As long as you've got truth, don't ever stop.
You're on the air.
As long as you've got love.
What's on your mind?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
What do you think?
I don't know what I think. I think it's a beautiful day out there. It's a great day in South Carolina, and we have the Lieutenant Governor on the line with us here this morning, getting ready to celebrate the 4th of July. Good morning, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, my friend. You know, I was thinking about when I was calling in today, I mean, we've been doing this now over 7 years.
Yeah.
Once a month, time flies when you're having fun.
Right.
So I have to tell you a funny story because I love to tell funny stories about my mom and dad. But so my parents were married on 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
And so 4th of July has always been kind of a fun holiday around our house, especially when my dad was alive, right? Because it was their anniversary and it was 4th of July. And so we always had a big party. And my dad, I think this is why I appreciate the governor's humor so much, because my dad had very similar humor. And he used to say, the country gained its independence and I lost mine. And he said it every year, like clockwork. Every time somebody said, how many years have you been married? And so it's always like a great memory, especially. I think they'd have been married 75 years this year.
Wow.
If my dad was still alive. So it's...
How many years has your dad been gone?
My dad's been gone 30 years.
Oh, wow.
It seems like yesterday, you know, because I can still hear him, but it was 30 years ago. But 4th of July has always held a very special time in our family, just because, like I said, we celebrated their anniversary and the birth of this great nation. And next year, Ann, we'll be celebrating 250 years. Yeah. We're going into the 250-year celebration. I was down at Carolina Day in Charleston on Saturday. And they're very excited, you know, because you have like the Cincinnati Society of all these Revolutionary War societies, and they all march. And Ben Ziegler was down there, and he was talking, giving like a history lesson in the park. It's a great day. So for everybody in the upstate that hasn't really heard about Carolina Day, plan on trying to get there next year. I think it's going to be an amazing event. It's in Charleston. It always is the Saturday before the 4th of July week. So it's the kickoff to the 4th of July, the Battle of Sullivan's Island. So it's really cool. It's really cool. Everybody should try to get down there because we're going to have a lot of cool things happening in our state for its 250th birthday.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize the significance that South Carolina played and what an early state, what were we, number 8, very early in becoming a state as part of the United States of America.
I mean, the governor talks about that all the time when he's with governors from around the country. And I'm not sure, I'm the 93rd lieutenant governor. He's like the 100th and something governor. I guess I should know that. But he'll say like he'll be with another governor that's like the 39th governor, or you know, and he's in the hundreds, and it just makes you realize what a significant role that, you know, we have played in the history of this country. And there is a great book by Ben Ziegler. It's not just a book, it's like an encyclopedia that he has written about the history of South Carolina. And the governor has been, ever since I've known him, like kind of quotes from this book, and he loves history and he reads it. And he got me when I was with Ben Ziegler on Saturday. I told him, I said, you know, the governor's a huge fan. Let's take a picture. He's going to be so jealous that we're together. I said, but he got me to buy your book. And it's not a book. It's like weighs 20 pounds. And I'm not kidding. It's an encyclopedia. And the governor said to me, he said, Pamela, he said, if you're doing it right, you should be highlighting that book and putting tabs in it. And so I said, so now the governor has me highlighting things that I think are really cool and putting tabs in it. I said, I feel like I'm in college again. And Ben just laughed. And so for anybody who loves South Carolina history, look it up on Amazon. Let me tell you, you can get a workout carrying it around your house and build up some muscle, but it does bring to light just the role South Carolina has played in the birth of this nation, and something we should all really be proud of.
Absolutely. And that's called The History of South Carolina? Is that what it's called?
No, look up Ben Ziegler. It's all about the history of South Carolina, but I'm not sure of the exact title. But I bought mine on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure I've contributed to the wedding of Jeff Bezos and his new wife, right? Isn't that the new meme that went around for every husband? Thank you for the fact that your wife helped contribute to the wedding of Jeff Bezos. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, exactly. Well, have you got anything you want to announce today? I mean, I've noticed you've been ramping up the Pamela Evette website, and you're doing all this stuff. I mean, it looks like you want to make an announcement today?
I do. We had a really successful town hall in Rock Hill on Tuesday.
Okay.
And so that was great. Wanted to announce that. That was my 5th town hall across the state. And people are great. And Ann, I had a new group of people. These are town halls, so it's not, we send it to our Republican groups everywhere that we're going to be. But we put them out on social media, right? And so we had about 5 Democrats that came. And the reason I know they were Democrats is because when I made mention of there was a question. We ask everybody to write questions when they come in, and then who's ever moderating kind of groups them together, because there's a lot of people that kind of have the same topic, right? And then we read from those. Obviously, we can't get to all of them because we've had 100 and some people packed in a room, and it's an hour long, right? So you're never going to get to everybody's question. But a question came up on ICE, and I talked about, I said, I think we can all agree that during the dismal Biden administration, and one of the ladies yelled out, "We don't agree with that." And I was like, wow, they do exist. There are Democrats in South Carolina. I just don't see them, right? And so it took everything I had to not ask them to give me one example of something positive that the Biden administration did. But then I knew it would take over the town hall, and we've had such great responses. I didn't want it to take the energy out of the room. And so I just kind of said, well, hey, it's America. We all get to disagree. And I just kind of went on, and they made faces when I talked about President Trump and the great things he did. And they tried to distract me. But they were pretty calm. We had some Republican women, Peggy Upchurch, unfortunately was like sitting right next to them, and asked them what they were so unhappy about. And they said that they've done 12 protests. They've been a part of 12 protests around the state. Peggy told me, they said. She said, well, what are you protesting? And they said, anything the administration is doing. And I said, well, that sounds like the Democrats. They just protest to protest, right?
But it's sad. It's sad that we can't see that there are good things happening. Now, I'm sure that you don't agree with absolutely everything that President Trump has put out there, but on a whole, you can see that things can be better. Am I right?
Absolutely. And let's face it, if we're putting common sense into the equation, Ann, I don't agree with everything my husband says or does, and I still love my husband, right? So, we're never going to agree with somebody 100%. If we're waiting for that utopia, then we just better wait till we get to heaven to be happy, because that's the only guy we're going to agree with 100% of the time. So, but he is our president, and I always tell myself that even in things I can't see, like if there's something going on and I can't see the positive in it, I always have to check myself too and say, listen, I don't know everything that's going on. And I don't know how this is fitting. I don't know how this is fitting into a bigger picture. And so to stand up and grandstand and say that, do it my way when I don't know the whole lay of the land, I think is wrong. And, I really don't like to criticize Republicans unless I feel like very compelled to do that. And last night I felt very compelled to tell Ralph Norman to stop doing what he was doing. Stop grandstanding. The president needs all of us. And we may not like everything that's in that bill, but once again, I trust President Trump because we gave him that job. And we don't know how this fits into a much bigger picture for him. And let's let him do his job. This is his big, beautiful bill. He wants it. He supports it. I know that this is part of a much bigger plan. And our president has done an amazing job. The last 30 days has been unreal, the way he's been able to move the bar and turn the start of turning this country around and stop standing in his way. Whether it's, I was really annoyed with the speaker vote, and I felt bad for Jim Jordan because poor Jim Jordan, he did not want to be nominated for speaker. He didn't want to be speaker. He was never going to be speaker.
Right.
You threw his name out there just to grandstand and put a cog in the wheel, and that's not effective government. My dad used to say, if you find a problem, you better come with a solution. He used to tell my brothers and that all the time. Don't come to me with problems. Come to me with solutions to something you don't like.
Well,
and that's the kind of government I want, right? I mean, we're never going to agree on everything 100%. I don't expect that, but you can't always be the one that agrees with nothing and have no remedy to fix it.
I agree.
Like, that's exhausting. It's exhausting to the American people. It's exhausting to me personally. And so, we see Joaquin Jeffries.
Yeah, is he still up there talking? When I got on the radio this morning, he was still talking.
Yep. I see it out of the corner of my eye on the TV, and he's still talking.
Yeah.
And this is what Democrats do, right? Like, we had Cory Booker, that guy. I just want to know how he didn't need to use the bathroom. He went longer than Strom Thurmond. He wrote, so he was 24, and so I don't even know. But I just want to know how he didn't need to use the bathroom.
Well, don't they wear Depends or something? That's what I've heard.
Well, that would be so weird. Any adult who can...
Right, I agree, but I think that's what they do. They set themselves up. I'm going to do this. But in the end, what do they gain? What do they gain? That's the thing. Are they going to change minds and hearts? I don't think so. They're just going to be able to say, I stood there for X amount of hours and kept this from passing.
It's the all about me show is what that is. And I think when you get into government, you get into government to be selfless. You give into government to serve. Nobody should go into government thinking they're going to become a millionaire. I sure as heck can tell you I took one heck of a pay cut to take my job, and I'm not complaining. I knew that going in, right? There has to be a certain amount of honor in the service that you're doing. And it can't be all about you. And it's okay to say you're wrong because everybody has made a decision or went down a path and then found out more information. It's okay. And I think it makes you more real. It makes you more genuine. And that's the kind of leaders we need. Those are the kind of leaders we need in office.
Well, Pam, let me ask you a question. We've got the conference committee came together and decided to give everybody a $1,500 additional month raise in the legislators, and then there was a suit, and so they've now taken the $1,500 and the $1,000 away for in-district expense. How do you feel about that? Do you really think that should have been done midterm, or should it have waited till they were actually up for re-election?
The way I've always felt about even for things like there are things I think would make the lieutenant governor's job better. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I think if you, and this is just my opinion, I think there is something to be said for the fact that these expenses have not been altered in almost 40 years. I think that was the number I read. I mean, there is cost of living issues, right? And these people that go to Columbia to serve, all of our House reps, our senators, they do end up spending a lot of money out of pocket, and they don't make any money because it's the service side of it.
I agree.
So you can make an argument to say, just look individually in our own homes how much postage has gone up in the last 2 years. we've made no allowance. If it's 40 years, then they probably deserve
30.
something. But I think
Yeah.
30 years. I knew it was a long time. We'll go with 30 years.
Yeah.
Still a lot of adjustment, right? So, but I think it could have been done to say, we're going to pass this, but we're going to defer any of the increases to the next group coming in.
Exactly.
So it
That's what
doesn't
I'm
look like
saying.
you're doing it for you.
Yeah.
And I think that probably would have been a good idea. I think people might have embraced it. There have been raises that have come down for constitutional officers and the governor, and I have always said to ours that no, we knew what that was when we took our job. For the better or for worse of it, then that's what we keep. And again, with that same mindset of it'll happen after. Now, I think the good thing that they did is they allowed every member to say, well, we're going to defer ours until after re-election. And I think that was good that they kind of came in on the backside and tried to.
But don't you think they came up with that when there was such an outcry? And the other thing that I think that is, in my opinion, should be addressed is, if this is in-district expense, why do they not have to do an expenses? Like, well, I'm spending this on this. Show us what their money, if somebody's interested, what they spend it on, instead of, well, it could be for personal, it could be for business, it could be for whatever.
Well, you make a great point, and I'm an accountant, Ann, and so me, I always love the good expense sheet. That's what us accountants like, And so I do like what Bill Taylor did. Bill Taylor, I was in Aiken, when this was all going on, and he already, I think he's already pre-filed a bill that basically said there should be a committee outside of the General Assembly that votes on it, kind of like, we have the Department of Admin that looks at like wage caps and, what is a good wage and expense per diem, with, just across all the state departments and offices. And so to have a third party committee not made up of the General Assembly that takes an unbiased look at these things and makes sure that, everybody, it's being handled properly. And I think that, kudos to Representative Taylor, I think that was a really good move. And then it keeps them out of the mix, right? And nobody can feel like they were, they were put on the spot to do something. Or then the general public can say at least it was done by a group that doesn't benefit from it.
Right. And then, of course, we did with no earmarks, and I was actually at an event on Friday, the Palmetto Innovation and Technology Center that is being built over there in Due West, that's going to be for STEM, robotics, and everything. It's going to be the first in the state. You need to find out some about this. It's a really great organization. They've been doing it for years. But my point is, Senator Gambrell got up and $450,000 had been given to help build this project. And he made the comment that if this project if the money had been asked for this last year, it would not have been approved. Fortunately for them, it had been approved the year before. And, of course, no earmarks. And then I really don't understand what's happening down there. Is there a lot of distrust or something? Because then Governor McMaster puts out an executive order making sure that all of the department heads, if any senator or legislator comes to them and tries to get some money for something, they're to report them. What's going on, Pam?
Well, the governor has always been very forthright, and so have I, about transparency, right?
Right.
Everybody complains about government. DOGE has become a very sexy topic. I am all about DOGE. Being an accountant, I mean, we used to call it efficiency, right? But now it's got a sexy term. We call it DOGE, and that is fine. But it's all about being able to let the taxpayer know that we're spending their money and how their money is being spent, because it's not our money.
Right.
The state collects it, but it's the taxpayer money. The governor has offered a solution. I think as long as we've been in office, his kind of solution to this is there should be money that goes into a pot and have it come out like grants. So
Right.
if every year, I'm just going to throw out a number, this probably isn't the number, but if we say we're going to put $500 million into a pot, and then we let everybody, just like you would to get a grant, come up with the reasons,
Sure.
how it impacts your district, how it would impact the state, the good it's going to do, and then let everybody vote on, okay, what are the best things to do?
Sure.
And that way, every year you budget for it. Every year, taxpayers know how much are going in for these things. And I think that's a great way to do it, right? But, the governor had talked about that, but then I've heard people say that years ago, they tried to do something like this, and it didn't work the way that they had hoped. So, but I think what we have to do is really it all revolves around transparency. And we saw this on a federal level. And thank God here at a state level, we don't have those issues. We have the largest rainy day fund in our state's history. We have a balanced budget every year. This year, at the very end, after the budget was kind of agreed upon, we found out we had an extra $1 billion.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
why
is
they
going to
did that
go,
raise,
into
right?
next year.
That's why they did that raise,
Well,
Pam, isn't it?
No, I don't. I think that was before they found out about the $1 billion. Anyways, we are in good shape, and I think people should feel good about the fact that we are fiscally in good order. It's not like you see on the federal level with USAID or anything, right? But because those things came out on a federal level, it makes constituents skeptical. I've done 5 town halls across the state. People just want to know that their hard-earned dollars are being spent wisely. And
Right.
so that's really the whole purpose of the governor's executive order, is just to kind of say, listen, we meaning all of us in South Carolina, want to be able to look at our constituents and say, no, look, you can go out there and look at everything that we have, that your money has been spent on this year. So I don't think it's distrust. I think it's more of because of what we see in other states and on the federal level. And sometimes people watch the news and think that's happening here. And it's just a good way to keep people feeling good about what's going on in Columbia.
Absolutely. Can I ask you another question? The shrimpers made an announcement yesterday, our local shrimpers, very upset that some according to them, some restaurants, businesses, whatnot, are saying that their shrimp is local when it's not. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think you should ever. It's just like we just got done talking about. Do not deceive your customers, right?
Right.
That is not good. And, Billy Nungusser, the Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana, he has been on this for a long time. Shrimping is a market here.
Right.
It's a really big market in Louisiana. And what he was finding is that, it was cheaper to get shrimp from China
Right.
and those shrimp weren't as healthy and as good as our shrimp. And he has been ringing the bell on this issue for years. And so he's feeling very happy that all this is coming to light. But no, I think we shouldn't deceive our customers by what we put on a label. You see this RFK Jr. And you know what? He has been a really good disruptor, because all of a sudden, all of these companies are now saying, yeah, we can take a lot of these chemicals out of our food. And we'll do it by 26, by 27. I think people just want to know, they want to know what they're eating. They want to know, over the last 10 years, even in just my friend group, if I take that, people are really starting to read the labels. They want to understand the ingredients that are in their stuff.
Sure.
And so I just think we can't lead with deception, right? I think that's what this all boils down to. Do not deceive your customers. Do not deceive the people you serve.
Well, how was it? I think you met RFK, didn't you?
I did. I was with him, and I agree with him wholeheartedly that we need to get junk food out of our SNAP program. We are creating. Yeah, we are. I guess I had a bit of a learning curve a few years ago with this, because in high school I was a cashier at a grocery store, and I can remember when WIC was like something that I dealt with as I was ringing people out, but they were very specific, right? Like you had to get milk and you had to get juice, but it couldn't be like a sugary juice, and you had to get cheese and cereal, but it couldn't be a sugary cereal. And I remember it was very specific. So that's kind of what I thought these programs were. It was only until a few years ago when I realized that SNAP is a completely different kind of benefit, and there's not the restrictions on that there are with the women and infant children's program. And so I was shocked to learn, like, you could buy, Doritos and soda and cupcakes, and not to say that you shouldn't buy those things, but what RFK is saying is that, the government is paying for they're how do you put it? He's like, they are attributing to a problem of childhood obesity that leads into the fact that most people that are on SNAP are probably on Medicaid, and then we're creating this unhealthy lifestyle through their food choices, and then we're having to treat it on the other end. Mm-hmm. And that's just common sense, right? So I really enjoyed him, and I sat down for a private meeting for around 20 minutes and 15 minutes, and we talked really about that program and what he's trying to do. And he's not trying to say don't ever eat chips. He's just trying to say don't eat it as a food group every single day.
It shouldn't be on the food pyramid. Is that what you're saying, Pam?
That's what he was saying in a nutshell. Ann, is that dating us that we know what the food pyramid is?
Yeah, I guess so. You used to be, but you know what, Pam? The thing about it is there is so much distrust today, except when we were growing up, we knew that those things were right. And here we are coming right back around. Kind of like phonics. They went away from phonics. Oh, phonics is old and everything. Had Ellen Weaver on the other day. She goes, we're back to phonics. I said, really?
Well, I hope you saw Ellen Weaver's post, because I'm going to post 43%, something about it today.
Yeah.
43%. And reading is a passion of mine, right? Like I was the book fair mom. I don't know if I told you. I don't think you ever
told us you were the book fair mom.
I was the book, to all the book fair moms who are out there listening, once you become the book fair mom, you're the book fair mom forever. But I was proud to do that. Like, our kids went to our parish school, a parochial school. The library was small. It was a kind of a new school when my oldest went. And I was like, we got to boost up the library. And so we had a great librarian. She read every single book we would put in the library for the kids. And, it was a parochial school, so I wasn't worried. Like, we hear about books now. That wasn't an issue. But we brought Scholastic, and we built quite an impressive library through that program. And so reading is something that I feel very passionately about. Our kids have got to learn to read. And if you have a child that in your life that you love, buy them a book. When they're little, put them on your lap and read a story to them, because that, you reading to them, you interacting with them talking to you about what's on the page, nobody realizes how much that helps in their learning process and in those young ages. It's critical.
Absolutely.
So that to me was amazing news. And Ellen, we were at Girl State together a few weeks ago for the graduation of Girl State, the big ceremony at the Capitol, and she shared that information with me, and I had to keep it top secret until the numbers actually came out. But super proud of what we've been able to do. It's not perfect, but we took one big bite out of the elephant, and that's all we can hope for. Is when we try to make these big strides, you're not going to do it all at once, but when you're moving the ball in significant ways, you should feel really proud.
Absolutely. Well, so with all that being said, we've had this great conversation. I know you want to announce that you are running for governor. Am I right, Pamela Evette, Lieutenant Governor for the great state of South Carolina?
I want to announce that I am so honored to be the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of South Carolina. And I thank all of your listeners who made that possible for me. And I promise I'm going to never disappoint you. I'm going to serve you to the best of my ability.
I made a post on Facebook. I was sure you were going to announce right here on WCRS.
And you keep me on my toes, my friend. You keep me on my toes.
Well, I will look forward to our next meeting, and maybe then you'll announce. But I want you to keep WCRS and Eller right there on the top of mind of where you need to be when you announce.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. Do you have any final words you'd like to say as we go into the 4th of July, Pam?
I do. For everybody, you have a beautiful lake in your backyard. So we're going to have a lot of people on the water. We got a lot of people on the roads. I want everybody to be very safe. Please be careful. If you're having too much fun on 4th of July, stay where you are. Enjoy the fireworks. Say a prayer for our country. Say a prayer for our servicemen and women who are serving us all over the globe. And just take a minute to realize that we are blessed to live in the best country on the planet.
Absolutely.
And happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of
July to everyone.
Thank you so much for calling in this morning. Happy 4th of July, Pam.
Thanks, Ann. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. That was, our Lieutenant Governor for the great state of South Carolina. You got to give me credit here, folks. I do keep trying to get her to announce right here on WCRS radio. But, for some reason, I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm sad, but I don't think it's going to happen. I just think we got to get bigger here in order to get her to announce right here. But I do know that if you look at what she's doing out there, now if you just look at what she's doing, she is doing a lot of things that say to me, she's going to be running for governor very, very soon. So watch out. Everybody starts doing things that change up what they're doing when they're thinking about this. I mean, after all, would she be sending out the Pamela Evette newsletter? You can sign up for that. Just go to PamelaEvette.com. Would she be doing that if she was just looking at her exit and going back into the private sector or something different? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, just look at Andre Bauer the other day. Everybody, I was talking about it. He's taking his website down. He did this, he did that, and pow. Now he's out there challenging Lindsey Graham. So, I think things are happening, and who knows how many other people are going to jump in for sure into the race. She brought up Ralph Norman. Ralph Norman is kicking around. Does he want to run for governor for the great state of South Carolina? It is interesting what is happening up there at the Capitol. Hakeem Jeffries, I just looked up at the screen. Yeah, he's still talking. Where did he start? What? I don't know. What time did he? I don't remember what time they said he started. He's been talking for at least 2 or 3 hours. The question is, how long can he talk? Is the question. And how long can they really hold off this bill? Getting through that procedural vote was huge, which allowed him to talk about it. And, of course, President Trump, I understand, was on the phones, and they were making deals left and right. The only thing that bothers me about making deals, though, right, is we don't know what deal they made to get the vote. And now there's been talk about, well, they'll do this deal. There'll be an amendment, not an amendment, but a executive order to do this, that, or the other. So that's the only thing that kind of concerns me. It also is kind of concerning that it was so tough for them to get there, which really, wouldn't it be nice if everybody said, oh, yeah, it's a great bill, let's just vote for it? But it hasn't been that way, and I don't know everything that's in the bill, so I'm not really sure. So but that's just what's happening. When the news sits there all night long trying to come up with things to talk about. Well, we just found out so-and-so was a yes, and now they're a no. And the no vote has now turned into a yes. And, well, this is what happens. And they had a group of people that were on, and they were just yada, yada, yada. And you're just going, when you got something to report, come back and tell me. Otherwise, don't tell me. So this is what is happening. And, of course, President Trump is sitting there, I guess, with bated breath. Give me that bill. I want that bill. Kind of reminds me, what was that movie where, Mini-Me, get in my belly? That's kind of what it reminds me of. I want that bill. Hurry up, get me that bill, please. I need that bill. And, maybe we do need the bill. I have not studied it enough to know. I know there are some good things in it, the things that they tout. But, you do have to question, if you're a thinking, sentient person, are there things in there that are going to hurt? I mean, some of the things that are hurting is they are putting pause on some of the programs that are out there that help low income and this type of thing. So how are they going to deal with it? It's kind of just like my conversation with the lieutenant governor about... I'm sorry, Pam. I could have argued with her, but, I didn't want to do that. But it sure looks like the governor is saying, I don't trust these legislators. I'm going to put a kink in their wheel. I'm going to make sure my department heads on fear of being fired will come to me if anybody approaches me about money. Give me money. So I think that's part of it. I do think that having a separate committee that is not legislators is a good idea. I do think there should be accountability. If you're going to call it in-district expense, if you're going to give it to somebody, call it in-district expense, but it's really a salary increase, then it should be a salary increase. By the way, they have to pay taxes on it, and by the way, they gets to contribute to those that have been in the legislature for a good while. It contributes greatly to their pension plan. Now, they did away with the pension plan as later legislators came in. But for those that have been in there for a good while, I'm sure they're licking their chops going, oh, this is a good thing. Good thing. Anyways, those are some of the things that were in the news. I want you to know we've started for Princess Penny. There is protocols when you're a princess. And Princess Penny is going to have to learn some of these protocols. She's not exactly taking to it as, why do I have to learn this, is what she's telling me. Nobody else has to learn this. Why do I have to learn it? Yes, Princess Penny is learning how to be a princess. I sat her in my chair last night and I said, now, when I'm not here, you're going to have to take over. So I want you to sit up here and kind of look at the camera and, tell us what you're thinking and everything. She looked at me, she goes, I'm tired. And then she laid right down in my seat and went to sleep. I said, we are not off to a good start here, Princess Penny. Anyways, that's just a little fun aside here as we get ready for the 4th. I am going to be here tomorrow morning. I'm going to do a short patriotic show. Just FYI, if you'd like to tune in, we'd sure love to have you. And if you are not going to be here, that is A-okay. I hope whatever you're doing, you're out there having a great time, We are going to have tomorrow morning down there at the Veterans Center. Do want to make sure you know about this. As I've said all day, all week long, I think this would be a great way to take your kids to learn a little history, but to also have a good time. It is the launch of the Greenwood County's upcoming events for our national historic milestone, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And that is going to be this coming Friday. So this coming Friday. So tomorrow, 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Very short. Get up, maybe go out and either have a little breakfast, go have a biscuit or something early, and then go by there. It's going to be at the Greenwood County Veterans Center, 106 Main Street. The celebration will include the performance featuring a Cherokee Native American flautist. Guest speakers, historical reenactors, witness history come to life with a stirring, dramatic reading of the Declaration of Independence. So this will not be boring. This will be something that kids should enjoy. They will have reenactors there dressed in full garb. I hope you will go out and take the kids, the grandkids to this, make a letting them understand what is so great about our country and how it started with such humble beginnings to become what it is today. So please check that out. Yesterday afternoon we had an excellent interview, as I said earlier, with Kelly McWhorter and with Gibson Hill, talking about all things festival. And of course, my week starts next week on Monday. On Monday, we are going to start out the week with, on Monday, not Tuesday like we usually do, but on Monday, and it'll be at 5 o'clock. I'm going to interview Aiden Webb, who is a local performer here in our area. I think he's actually up outside of Anderson is where he's from, but he's making great strides, and he's going to unveil his new song right here on WCRS. That'll be from 5 to 5:30, and then at 5:30 we're going to have Granger Smith with Local Focal is going to come on and tell us what to expect of Local Focal's part. They, of course, will be upstairs at Howard's with lots of local music playing and having a good time. So that is something you'll want to hear, and you can watch it. I'll be live on Facebook. You'll be able to hear it, of course, on the radio. So just wanted to mention that. Then starting Tuesday afternoon, starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we will go live. We will be live for about 2 hours, and we have all kinds of guests calling in, and towards the end of the week we'll have some of them live in studio, and we'll be having a good time talking to them about their music. I'll be playing some of their music. We'll be finding out a little bit about them. This is always a great time of the year, and part of the reason we do that is so that you only have so much time to spend at the festival, and I think even if you tried to see every artist, it would be pretty hard. So this is what we do. We say, we're going to play as many music to introduce you to as many artists, tell you where they're going to be, and that way you'll be sure to do what, Ann? To pick out the ones that you really want to see. So that'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday in studio, we're going to have Peter Karp, and in studio, Veronica Jackson. Those shows will be just an hour unless I talk over or somebody else shows up, but that's Thursday. But again, we're starting at 4 o'clock next week. On Friday, we'll have in studio Brian Peters, Deuce and a Quarter. Great guy. Have talked to him in the past. Looking forward to having him in studio. And really looking forward to having Max Hightower, who has just been signed by an agency, has put out his first CD to critical acclaim. He's been written up in all kinds of blues magazines and whatnot. And so you're going to want to see that. I'm hoping he'll bring a harmonica with us, and maybe we can jam together. You know, I'm a harmonica player. Yeah, right, Ann. I'd like to be a harmonica player. Maybe I'll get a lesson or two right here on the air. Anyways, harmonica, that's going to be Friday from 4:30 to 5 with Max Hightower. So I am looking forward to all these interviews Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we're starting out the week on Monday at 5 o'clock with Aiden Webb unveiling his brand new song. I think it's a song that he wrote that has a great story behind it. And then 5:30 to 6, we'll have Granger with us. So this is what's happening. It's all about the festival next week. And if you want to keep updated, what do you got to do? You got to tune in to me right here on WCRS. We are looking at not really maybe doing a blues cruise crawl around town. I am looking at, though, just going live on Facebook and having my mic with me. Have Mike will travel, and we may be doing some live hits during the week. So if you're not on our Facebook page, WCRS 98.5 FM, 1450 AM, you may want to make sure that you're following. And there is I'm not sure how you do it, but there is a place where you can get notified when I go live. So if this is something you'd like to make sure that you know about, please let me know, and please sign up for that, because we're going to try to go live, be in the mix, down there having a good time. I've got a new mic that plugs right into my phone, so I'm looking forward to kind of trying that out. So that's going to do it for me today. I hope you have a great day, and if you're not with us tomorrow on the 4th of July, may the 4th be with you. May the force of America, may the force of family and friends and good times, and knowing that we are, as Americans, very special people, and we are blessed to live in this great country. It is our responsibility to be the best that we can. That's going to do it for me. Have a great day. Thanks so much for tuning in. The training for Princess Penny will continue as she learns how to be a princess. Princess Penny. I didn't realize that's why I named her that, but that's it. Training of Princess Penny has begun. Have a great day. No show this afternoon. Taking a break, folks. I'm sorry, I'm taking a break. So have a great day, but I'll be back in the morning. Bye. That'll do it for us. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody. Stay cool.
Keep on sharing.
The phones are open.
Keep on laughing.
Give us a call.
You gotta keep on caring. As long as you've got a voice, don't ever stop. As long as you've got truth, don't ever stop.
You're on the air.
As long as you've got love.
What's on your mind?
Warren